Welcome to Pie Man's Nearly News. I am Pie Man, and if you enjoy this suit, please subscribe so I can buy a suit for every colour of the rainbow and become overlord of all suits.
What?
Now, first this week we have a young teenager from Malaysia who, much like animals in the wild who fail to find a mate to copulate with, put his penis in a drain pipe sticking out of the wall in his flat. He then tried to remove his genitals from the pipe for an hour. That's a sentence every newsman begins his career hoping he will never say. It took over 10 minutes to convince the emergency services to stop laughing, and they eventually arrived with a rabbi in case their circular saw circumcised the man along the way. The lad was said to have a problem with the attitude of the firemen who rescued him. He said they acted like dicks, seemed rather cocky, and even told them he had a boner to pick with them. I mean bone. That's not better. After this tirade, the firemen told him not to get so testy or they would leave him in the hands of the penal system. I apologise for the writing in this segment, I've just been waiting a really long time to make penis puns. Next, a woman in New York called the police when she thought she saw a woman in a Handmaid's Tale costume about to jump from a roof across the street from her work. The police were called and arrived to discover that the woman was in fact an umbrella and a table. The police and woman had a good laugh about it until the umbrella, upset at people laughing about its appearance, jumped off the roof and killed itself. A woman in America found a cat trapped in a fence. Seeing it was in trouble and screaming its head off, the woman took it in and fed it. She was surprised at the size of the animal and the large appetite it had, and assumed somebody in the local area must own it. She posted an ad calling for an owner to step forward on Craigslist, and was shocked when commenters informed her it was actually a wild bobcat, thus the lack of tail and massive size. She was quite upset and said that she had received several hurtful comments online and the animal had urinated all over her house. She described the experience as clawful, but said she was feline fortunate not to have been attacked by the animal. She is now considering the possibility of perhaps keeping the bobcat. She says she can make him her friend, and that one day this will be a great deal. A man dubbed the male Rapunzel, who has grown his hair to 2 feet in length, has come out about the mocking he receives online because of his hair, with some people calling him broom hair, a scarecrow, or even a woman. Basically, we're dealing with an attractive person complaining because they're a bit weird and they get told that online. We here at Nearly News simply feel that this male Rapunzel needs to get his priorities untangled. We still don't have a camera over there. A Starbucks barista was dubbed a womb shamer after asking a pregnant lady if she wanted her caramel macchiato to be decaf. That sentence was so basic it physically hurt me. Anyway, the woman replied she didn't want it to be decaf. On a personal note, I feel like the barista wasn't really in the wrong at this point, but he continued to dig that hole. He said, "No, I should, because it's bad for the baby." The woman said, correctly, "No, it's okay, I'm allowed one a day." The man then replied, "But you shouldn't." Another woman stepped in at this point and argued with the barista, who continued to complain that she shouldn't have caffeine for another 5 minutes. Mate, why would you bother? A 48-year-old model dubbed the world's hottest grandmother has come out about the mocking she receives online because of that title, admitting that she finds mean comments soul-destroying and that they make her think of giving up her modeling career. Basically, we are dealing with an attractive person complaining because they're a bit weird and they get told that online. And we believe this hot grand really needs to get her priorities untangled. No, that doesn't work here. Did someone copy and paste this from the last segment? We now go to Rhett Remington for the sports news this week. What? And we wish Rhett the best of luck in rehab. Now, scientists are claiming that aliens may be breeding with humans in order to save the Earth, and wait. Those guys aren't scientists, never mind. A behavioural scientist claims that women are happier when unmarried and childless, as opposed to men who are happier on average after getting married and settling down because they take less risks. However, the same scientist insists that since being married and having children are considered societal goals, that women who are unmarried and childless are more likely to be depressed. Basically, women, you cannot win. We love completing a good story here at PNN, and if you will look back at a story we ran a few months ago.
This is an Irish woman who spent €6,000 to change her name and her look to look more like Jack Sparrow. I see the resemblance, I guess. And then she made headlines for getting legally married by a shaman priest to a Haitian pirate.
And this happy story has finally come to a conclusion because Amanda has filed for divorce from her 300-year-old ghost pirate husband. Most people at this point would hire a lawyer, but Amanda, of course, has opted for an exorcist. She said after the violent breakup that her lover had turned out to be a little transparent, that the marriage had been an emotional roller coaster, and she felt like a ghoul for believing in him. Sorry, a fool. Washington has just become the first state in America to allow human composting as an alternative to burial or cremation. Yes, that means you could be a fertilizer for your descendants' garden. It's a shitty job, but somebody's got to do it. We don't have any other gardening jokes ready yet, but let us know if you do. Let us. A library book was returned in America this week after being taken out in 1967. The fine in those days would have been about 3 pennies a week, and so the borrower, having discovered the book in an old box, enclosed a $100 check to cover the entire fine. We tried to get an interview with the librarian who made the discovery, but she was completely booked. Finally this week, firefighters had to break out the bolt-cutting equipment to free a hefty hedgehog trapped in a fence in Austria. A rather hefty hedgehog. That would make a great children's novel. I'll be back in a minute. Actually, I probably won't be back in a minute. I'll see you next week. She described the experience as clawful, but said that it was the meal Rapunzel. She described the experience as clawful, but said she was feline fortunate. A man dubbed the male Rapunzel, who's grown his feet to 2 hair in length. A man dubbed the male Rapunzel, who's grown his